Commercial, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Look, I am looking forward to this chat. Like, we met recently, and you ran a great session for the Inspire Foundation, and I was like, people need to know what Kim's talking about, right? You took some really complex things that business owners need to work on when it comes to strategy for their business and made it really, really simple. So appreciate you coming along today.
Cool.
Look, you're a chartered accountant.
Yes, yeah.
How did this all start for you? I've read a bit of your bio and I know a few things that you've done, but a chartered accountant, what do you love about being an accountant?
I always found, I think in high school, I kind of always had a sense for numbers, and I think I always knew that numbers were kind of the crux of any business.
Nice.
So if I had a really good base in that, whatever I decided to do in the future, I think it would set me up really well. So that's kind of the pathway I went down. Had an amazing mentor teacher at high school in accounting. So shout out to Scott Haynes, who I think is actually the principal of Burnside High in Christchurch. So he was amazing and really kind of led me on that path to go study it further at uni.
Did you just get numbers? Like, some people get words, some people get visual when it comes to design and stuff, but you just understood the numbers? Like,
understood the numbers. Love numbers, found it easy. You know, English wasn't probably such a good subject there, but numbers, easy. Yeah.
Wow. And so to become a chartered accountant, how long does that take? Look, forgive me because I didn't go to university. I'm the only one here with no degree. But how long did that take you, and what were you doing along the way? Were you doing jobs along the way?
Yep. So 4 years at uni, and while I was doing that, I was, working at odd jobs, working in pubs and track riding horses, those kind of things, just to help pay the drinking and etc. That stuff. All the good stuff. So 4 years at uni, and then practically once you're working 3 years to get your chartered accountancy. So I think it's slightly changed now, but that's what it was. So a good 7 years to become fully chartered.
Wow. And you look, I know from like talking with you and we've just had a great discussion, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff around the one-page plan and the mind shop that you guys run and marketing as well. Like, where did your love of like understanding the numbers, but also helping business owners with it? Because that's, I think you made a great comment before, like WK, which are you guys are advisors first, accountants second.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so we really had that kind of mindset shift in around 2015. So I joined the WK group in 2013, and in 2015 we rebranded from Winstanley Carriage to WK Advisors and Accountants, and the point was that we really wanted to help business look forward. So as accountants and tax and compliance, we're always looking back, what the client's done historically, preparing their accounts based on that, but there was an opportunity to move into that advisory space and really get clients to look forward. Where do they want to go over the next 3 to 5 years? So it was in 2015 we rebranded, and then we joined, knowing that we wanted to be more in that advisory space. We joined Mindshop. So that is the advisor to advisors.
Nice.
And so they're based in Melbourne, and they kind of are advisors to around 12 countries throughout the world, and just an amazing platform. But it's not just where we get our skill set and tools from, it's where the community is. So we do 3 regional training days a year, and then 1 annual conference. So we've just had the annual conference 2 weeks ago on the Gold Coast in Australia.
Nice.
And that's where everyone comes together, and it's 3 days of really high intensity workshop collaboration and just seeing what other people are doing.
And it's really like, when I was going through that process with the Inspire Foundation that you were running, and it's really interesting looking at some of their content, but they do take the complex and make it simple. That's one of their goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that I've learned. I think when we were starting out on that journey, we wanted to be really complex and make ourselves look really smart, right?
Yeah.
And use big acronyms and big tools and how smart are we?
Yeah.
But what I've found, over the past 9 years is that simple tools done really well is where you get the most benefit. Yeah. Because the client's the smartest person in the room. Yeah. They know their business better than I will ever know it. Yeah. And if you can give them tools that they get straight away, they buy into it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you study read a book recently by a gentleman called Donald Miller, and if you're confused, you lose, and you burn too many calories, right?
Yeah.
And I know from like dealing with accountants and being involved and doing some workshops for their clients and that sort of stuff. If the business owner is the smartest person in the room when it comes to their business, but you know how to strategically position it in a certain way. But if you make that too confusing, you just lose people, right?
Yep.
People will turn off. So we're going to talk about the one-page plan because I really like that, and I think most businesses could use that right now.
Yep.
You know, we're in a tough space of economy, and you know, like things are kind of against the business owner to some degree. And to be fair, it's tough for everyone. But you know, as a business owner, you know, I talk to lots of business owners, and I know they're doing it tough. You know, people call me, you know, mainly because of the podcast too. Can we have 15 minutes just to chat? And I love doing that. And you can hear it in their voices sometimes. They just need help, right? So what's when you're looking at helping businesses from the one-page plan and the mind shop's perspective, what's your first port of call? What do you do to engage businesses, and what do they need to do, I guess, to really engage with the process?
I think they need to want. There's got to be a want to change.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we tell businesses to come in and they're not engaged in the process, nothing happens. Yeah. Because I can help a client formulate the best plan in the world. Yeah. But if it doesn't get implemented, nothing happens.
Yeah. True.
So there's got to be a desire and a want to change. And so that's what we're really focused on, understanding what that is. And I always start off all my engagements, and I did it when the Inspire Foundation was in there, with what's on your mind.
Yes.
And it's a really great question, and I think a lot of people get scared of asking it because they don't know what's going to come out. Yeah. And historically, before, you know, reading the book, this book was called The Coaching Habit, and it looked at, you know, 7 really great questions that you should be asking to be a better coach and facilitator. Because we're not consultants. I'm not in here to tell you what to do. Yeah. I'm in here to help you facilitate your plan. Yeah. So asking what's on your mind, and people don't like asking that because who knows where it's going to go. Yeah. Right. And historically, I would say, you know, how's business going, Scott? Yeah. And you would really just hone in on business. Yeah. But if I say what's on your mind, it might be something completely external to your business that's actually preventing you from going forward. So I've had engagements where, you know, I ask that question and then I've thrown out what we're going to do for the rest of the session, because we are targeting, you know, it's not a paint by numbers process. It's let's actually fix the right problem. So coming back to what you said about the one-page plan, it asks 3 simple things. Where are you now? So tell me what's happening in your business now. Where do you want to be? Yep. And how you're going to get there. Yeah, nice. And so what tends to happen is most business operate in that now to how. So an issue comes up in business and we fix it. Yeah. But we're not making sure that it aligns to where we're going. So that's the power of how simple something can be. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what do we need to start doing to get there? Yeah. They're really, really clear questions too, right? But I want to get to the first one as well. Like, what's on your mind? That's kind of a freeing question too. If you have a safe enough environment where people will just share what's on their mind, right? That's like not many. You wouldn't get many accountants prepared to have that kind of conversation, because it could be a tough conversation. Sometimes you have to sit in silence, I bet, once you've asked that question. Absolutely. Yeah. And the trick is not to fill that silence, because that's what we tend to do. Yeah. And just coming back to that book, if anyone wants to read it, and I really recommend it to, you know, anyone in business that works with clients. It's called The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay. Cool. Bungay Stanier, I think. And so the 7 questions are what's on your mind. So that's really that discovery question. Then what else? And what else? Because that's making them dig deeper. I remember you kind of going through that process too now. And you kept going, and what else? And what else? And that was really cool, because it made you start thinking, oh, what else? What else? Yeah. And what are the key challenges? Yeah. So what are the key challenges for a business? You know, what do you want? How can I help? Yeah. And if you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? No to. And then, you know, what are your takeaways from all of this? Yeah. So You see how I haven't come up with any of the answers, but
no.
I've discovered all that from you and helped you frame that up.
Yeah, because the business owner, once again, knows what's going on. They know what's happening. The things that are annoying them, the things that are going well, the competitors, the market, the products, the service. They know it, but they're not putting the spotlight on any of it, are they? Yeah.
And just not how to condense it and frame it up into something.
Yeah. And I think the framing up of it is actually where the freedom comes in too, because you can start to see, oh, it's this I need to work on, it's this I need to work on, it's this,
And it's about prioritization as well. I mean, if you go to any business, there's probably a list of 100 items long that they need to do. But what are we really going to focus on in the next 90 days?
Yeah.
These 2 things. If you just do those 2 things, and that's achievable.
Yeah. Yeah, we run a 90-day world here, and it's so freeing to have, what we call them rocks, but they're just projects that you have to getting done to make the business stronger in 90 days and constantly working on it in that 90-day world. 90 days is long enough to get a result, and it's short enough to stay focused, which I really, really love. So that framework, those 3 great questions, where are you now? What are you looking to, when you're asking a business owner that, what are you looking for specifically? Are they just starting to brain dump a whole list?
I normally say to them, like, what are the key areas of your business? Because every business has slightly different key areas. And as you said, I refer to them as big rocks. I like to say key areas because, again, it's simpler. Sometimes you've got to explain the big rock thing. So I say, what are the key areas of your business? And where are you now in each of those areas?
Okay.
And then where do you want to be? So traditionally that's been like a 5 to 7 year focus, but we just in the climate of business at the moment, we're really pulling that back to 3 years. Kind of where do you want to be in 3 years?
Yeah, because like if you looked at 5 years and 7 years, 5 years ago, it's totally different, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so 3 years, and with that, like so. Do you do this as a group? Like, are you, I know you did it with us with a group, but a normal business owner, would you bring in the leadership team? You just bring in people in their team? How does that normally run?
It's interesting, and all businesses are different. I like to, in that initial planning, I like to get in the leadership group. I think it's really important. Other aspects, we bring in the wider team because we need a wider view of the business, and we might do some, initial phone calls to the wider team just to make sure we've got what's going on, because otherwise you're just getting it from the leaders, which may have a different lens on the business.
Yeah, nice.
So the reason why we really like to just bring in that leadership team, because we want to get really good clarity on the vision and why of the business, because if you're not clear on that, your team will decide that for you. So I think it's really good initially to make sure that they set the vision and direction, and then we bring the wider team to buy into it.
Nice. Yeah, that's so important, right? But you've got to definitely bring that buy-in as well. Otherwise, you kind of being left with leadership know what's going on. No one else knows what's going on. It's like creates a bit of a them and us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What are some of the successes that you've seen from doing this with businesses?
Oh, a whole lot, really. I think one client that probably springs to mind is I had a lady I was working with, and she just loved jumping on ideas and taking opportunities, I think, the way she described it. And we went through this process and got her one-page plan sorted, and I got an email from her a couple of weeks later, and she said, "Thank you so much. I had this amazing opportunity just fall into my lap, and I looked at my plan and realised it didn't align to it."
Brilliant.
And normally I would have jumped on that. So that's living in that now to how. Just constantly taking opportunities as they arise. So just seeing, and the reason why we say a one-page plan is so important is because it can change. Like you go to these strategic planning days and you'll come away with a 26-page plan, and you're like, this is so overwhelming. You put it in your top drawer and never look at it again. It's not designed. It's designed to be agile. So if these opportunities do come up and you're going to change the direction of your business, then we can update it. But we don't have to redo the whole process.
Redo the whole process. And generally the big strategic plans, because we ask businesses all the time, where's your market plan? It's 20 pages. Looked at it? No.
Too much.
Let's get a one-page plan going, And a one-page plan might extend to 3 pages, but by the time but it's really, it's very clear on what needs to get done and when and how and who. And I think, I just, every time I see something complex and how we make this more simple. Business owners don't have the time, they don't have the bandwidth, they've got so many balls in the air, and if you just make it simpler for them, they get it and understand it. So when you let's talk a wee bit more about the plan, because I like how it was laid out. You had if you can picture this, it had the now and is it the where?
Yeah.
And underneath you had the how. And then it had strategies, action plan, responsibilities, and training. And I just love the way that was laid out. Like, where did this come from? Was this Mindshop?
This is Mindshop. Yeah. So this is their core process. Everything that you do.
So the now, you get the now from asking that question.
Yeah.
You get the where from where they want to go to, and then the how comes down into to getting the strategies, the action plan, the responsibilities.
And there's a whole lot of ways there's a whole lot of ways you can really delve into what are the key strategies we want to focus on right now. I mean, that's all the stuff that happens in behind the scenes. So you might do a strategic SWOT, and you might look at their strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and there might be some key actions that come out of that, or there might be just asking, what are the key objectives that you want to achieve right now. So it's just a whole lot of things that come into how we prioritize those strategies in the short term.
We did a great exercise, and I thought, this is a bit silly at the time, but it was actually really, really good. And you got us to draw what we thought the foundation was, the Inspire Foundation. Well, why did you do that? Because it was actually a really good exercise. It got a lot of clarity, but it visually made me go, oh, this is what other people think it is. This is what other people think it is. This is what I think. Oh, actually, we're actually pretty close.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the Inspire Foundation is a great organisation, but we're charity partners. We're helping, most of us in that room are volunteers and wanting to be successful. So, it was really cool to see what everyone thought of it.
So this is the most hated and most loved exercise. So the most hated exercise before you do it.
Yeah.
And the most loved exercise after.
It's kind of like coming on video and doing a podcast, right? It's like people don't really want to do it, and people don't want to show their drawing skills. I was like, oh, here comes Mr. Stick Man.
So the idea is that if you can't draw it, you can't see it. And if you can't see it, you can't get it. So this process is, I say to everyone, right, I want you to draw the vision. And so, as I said, everyone's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I can't draw. And I don't care what the picture looks like. I just want no words and I want to draw it. And so everyone in the room draws it, and then we put them all down on the ground and have a look at them. And, the first comment that everyone says is, oh, look, we've got so much alignment. And I felt when I did the exercise with the Inspire Foundation, if I'd drawn the picture, I would have had similar themes in there too, right? But which picture is it?
Yes.
Because they're all got different elements.
Yeah.
So if someone comes in, which picture is it? And it might be a combination, but that's why it's about getting that real clarity on what is the vision, because how are we meant to filter it through to the wider community, or if we're working in a team, how are we telling them what the vision is?
That's the part I got at the end there too. I was like, well, if someone else comes along and all they knew of what the Inspire Foundation was from this picture, man, we've probably missed the mark on a couple of key things here, right? And it wasn't until you kind of, well, actually, because we have to paint a picture somehow to what we're telling people. So,
People are very visual as well. You know? So if you can have a picture of what it is, people are going to buy into that.
Yeah. And do you think, like, obviously from that, generally people and business owners have a lot more confidence in their business once you go through that exercise?
I think so. I think they get that clarity. And I couple the vision with the why. Why are you doing that? I mean, a lot of business owners, it's the money. Well, it's not the money.
No.
Being a business owner is hard, right?
No, totally.
It is so hard. And
you could make more money in some businesses doing something else. You're working for someone.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, I see businesses all the time where I think you just go get a job. You've got to be doing something different or better, and you've got to be really clear on why you're doing this, why you've chosen to put yourself out there and risk a lot. So I think really understanding that why, and that's something I work really strong with my clients on, is why are you doing this? And when you get that clarity, it's a light bulb, and it's just such a changing moment for them.
How do you find people's whys? Like, would you have a process for that? And then, because I think it's a big thing. I think if you can, No, for us, we're on a mission to help 10,000 businesses around New Zealand. We actually want to impact and inspire 10,000 businesses. And the reason we want to do that is we know who pays our wages, and that is the business owner. And the business owner, we look after a lot of multi-location franchises, and they have people working for them, and then they have families, and we really get that. We don't work a lot with corporates. We work a lot with business owners that are either on the coalface or they own franchises that have, so for us, we work really hard because we want them to win.
Yeah.
And all my team buy into that, right? And that's really, we're on a mission to do that. And our purpose is to educate, inspire, growth together. But we've worked hard on that. And then you talk to some business owners and what are you doing? Oh, I'm just going to make some money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, it's not enough.
And that's why I know people have got their why when they start leading with what they do. So if I said to you, Scott, what do you do? I would hope you say I educate and
inspire growth together.
Exactly. And we went through this process with a client, and obviously the why came from, everyone knows the Simon Sinek golden circles. And so there's a bit of a process that you go through. And we did this with a client, and I'd actually had some previous conversations with some of the team members and just picked up, you pick up little things from them. So sometimes they can't articulate it, but it's just on the tip of their tongue.
Yeah.
And it's just around, putting it together. And I knew they had it when the business owner was tapping away furiously on his computer. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm just buying the URLs and and that was his one. Yeah. And he nailed it. Yeah. And we actually went through a similar process with that at WK. So we had the kind of the vision and why of, we wanted to be the business advisor of choice, which is terrible, right? Because if you went to any other accounting firm,
stamp their logo on it, they'd be saying the same thing.
Exactly.
That's one thing I found, when we started doing, when I had my a business called On Page One Media, and after the earthquakes, we started doing seminars, and we every accountant started saying they were a business advisor, and then I met a couple, and they actually were, and it was real interesting to see the ones that said they were, but they just weren't. Yeah. It was kind of like hip.
Yeah.
But then they didn't pull it off, and that's what I liked what you guys are doing, because I think you've actually pulled it off.
Yeah. And so when we went through that rebranding, we also really looked at that. And for us, it was to have the single biggest effect on our community over the next 20 years.
Nice.
And that was meaning that if we can affect the clients that we work with, they can go on and affect the wider community. So that was a real focus for us and a real shift. And it wasn't just, it's not a sexy tagline. It was, we're out there, each of our senior leaders have 26 hours free work that, they get paid for, but they give that to charities or community groups that they're passionate about supporting. So that's about, actually living your why. Yeah. Don't have a why as a tagline if you don't truly believe it.
Yeah, yeah. That's important, right? And then, for us, we're doing seminars. We're out there, we do lunch and learns.
Exactly.
Because it's all part of it, we want to be there educating, inspiring, and showing people how they can grow together. Because I really believe, and we have core values, and they're not kind of our core values aren't like loyalty or honesty. I think that's a given. Results, not reasons. Insights, influence through insights. Our world-class training, world-class outcomes. We kind of live that and live in that world. And I think it's really empowering when a business owner gets it too, right? You would have found that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And your values, they've got to be actionable. I mean, I hate walking into a business and they've gone through the tick box of the values exercise, and their values are honesty, integrity. Yeah. What do they mean?
Yeah,
what do they mean? How do we know if people are living those?
Yeah.
How do we judge?
We have a stand-up meeting every day, and today is Friday, and Friday is core values in action. So what happens today is everyone will share that one of the core values that they've seen someone else do this week in the business.
I love that.
Yeah. And so Monday's a whiff of what I feel like expressing. Tuesday is choose your own attitude Tuesday. So you bring your attitude. It's really cool to hear. But then you also share a win that you had, and if you've got any opportunities or hurdles. Wednesday is intentional. So our key word for this year is it's to be intentional. Everything we do is to be intentional. So intentional is kind of like where you're winning and where you're being intentional in winning. Thursday is thoughtful or thankful. So you can bring a thoughtful or thankful. You hear some really cool stuff. People like, and so this every morning, 9:15 it happens here.
Yeah.
And today, Friday, being Core Values in Action. So we've also we just finished a contest today. So it was called Caught in the Act. So I believe one of the really cool things to growing a business from a marketing perspective is get caught doing the things you want to do more of.
Yeah.
So if you want to do more speaking events, get caught doing speaking events. If you want to do more strategy sessions, if you want to do more filming of clients, get caught filming clients.
Yeah.
So we just had I have to pick the winners today. So everyone's been going around taking photos of the team doing stuff with clients or with other team members and stuff. And it's been really cool because that's the way you keep those core values alive
and promote a good, strong culture.
Yeah.
You're living it.
And I think you like that's the difference. And what I loved about what you guys were doing is you're helping businesses live it. Because it's I have seen other kind of as you said, the strategic things that you go through, and now you've got these core values and you've got a mission, but then it all gets lost. No one buys into it.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you've seen? Could we talk a wee bit about success? What do you see some of the things that business owners, are getting wrong, either like financially in a business or, we can even talk about marketing. What are some of the things you see them getting wrong today?
There's a few things. I think often people forget about the bad times.
Yeah.
And so when the good times are good, they get new vehicles and they get the latest kit and all those kind of things. Just really about running a business efficiently.
Yeah.
I think it's a really big thing that...
What are some of the keys to doing that in your mind? Because I think it's a great topic.
Yeah. I think I'm doing a lot more of at the moment, just given the current climate, is what we call a waste audit, profit improvement.
Brilliant.
So that's around the 7 key areas of waste in a business, developed by Toyota way back in the day.
Nice. Kaizen.
And so that looks at, around the motion and ergonomics and transport and defects and all these different areas in a business. And this is a great exercise to do with an entire team because everyone has a different lens on the business. Yeah. And so it's not necessarily about getting more sales, it's about being more efficient in the process. So especially in times like now where it's hard to get more sales, if we can build efficiencies, when those sales come in, they're just going to be processed through a better system.
Yeah, how good.
Yeah.
So what was it? It was a waste audit.
Yeah.
And so profit improvement.
Yeah, so what we look at doing is, okay, for instance, say you've got a 2-story building, your work building, and you might have the printer on the second floor and your staff are all on the first floor. So each time they print, they walk up the stairs and down. So how many times are they doing that a day versus how many people are doing it? And, what's your charge out rate? Let's put a number on it. It could be costing you $20,000 worth of productivity a year.
Wow.
So that's just one example. And so we go through a list of that, and we could have $1 million by the end of it come out of it. And you're not going to be able to get rid of all waste.
No.
But what if we got rid of 10%?
Yeah.
What if we got rid of 20%?
Yeah.
And I love this process because you've got a list of stuff that you can start tackling, but you just have to pick one thing at a time to really focus on. I've had businesses change the layout of their office or say if it was a builder, hire a kind of a gopher to go pick up your stuff rather than your builders going off the tills to go and pick up, more things. Yeah. So just being a bit more efficient and looking at your business in a different lens. It's not always about growing sales. You can actually improve profitability by getting rid of the waste.
And I think that's a big thing with a lot of businesses because there's been some good times. And in good times, you just let things roll, right? And you don't look at or you don't question or you just keep going. And I've got a saying that small hinges swing big doors in business, especially in marketing. But when you look at that from a waste audit, profit improvement, that printer thing that plays out. I guarantee you that plays out right now in a lot of businesses.
A lot of businesses.
And you won't see it.
Yeah.
You personally as a business owner, you don't see it. Someone comes along and goes, hey, how do you do this process? And all of a sudden you'd be surprised at what the numbers are behind that small thing. Because it's small when just one person does it. But when, it's interesting because our printer for this building is up on the second floor.
Oh, I didn't actually know
Yeah.
that.
And I got sick of going up.
Yeah.
So we now have a printer down here.
Good.
But it was like, I was kind of like, well, that's wasting my time going up there.
Yeah.
And it was a real pain. It was painful.
And every time you walk out there and you catch someone in the corridor and you talk to them for 10 minutes.
All of a sudden you're talking to someone else, and and or if your staff going out there as well, But I guarantee it plays out. So what else do you find when you're doing this sort of stuff?
I find accountability is another really, really big thing. As I mentioned earlier, we can do the best plan in the world, but if it doesn't get actioned, it doesn't happen. So we've really focused on that of late, wrapping more accountability into our processes. So that is either a weekly or fortnightly, what we call a quick fire call.
Nice.
And so we're not there to solve all the problems, but it's a weekly check-in. So if we were meeting historically with a client on a quarterly basis, what happens? They do all the work the day before. So now we're having 12 catch-ups before that.
Yeah.
So they've got, really focusing on that must, should, could each week. So what must I do this week? What should I do? And what could I, could I do if I get time? So,
I like that.
So just tightening up that accountability loop, and just driving action. It doesn't have to be big things, just little things done consistently. Build those good habits.
Yeah, and that's the key to it, right? Because once again, keep it simple. Hey, what are you doing? What's one thing you can do? And I guess because you do find I've got some things on my list that I need to get to, right? But it's not a must.
Yeah,
I should be doing it.
Yeah,
and I could be doing it.
Yeah,
but I need to make them a must, right?
Yeah.
It's like you do find as a business owner, you have a lot of things that you should be doing.
Yeah.
But prioritizing them, and I like that. I like the accountability side of things. I do find, if you're accountable to something, you get it done.
Yeah. And even just on your must list, what must I do today? Even if it's only one thing, you actually feel a lot better. You feel a lot better at the end of the day knowing that you've done one thing. If you've got a to-do list with 20 things on it, it's too much. Yeah,
I like to prioritise at least 1 or 2, 3, or 1 to 3 things that I must get done. And you do feel better.
Yeah.
Like I know for me, I start work early in the morning. By 4 o'clock, I'm kind of like,
yeah.
But I know with my list what I must get done. And then. Yeah, the challenge then is you just don't want to add too many things, because then got caught doing that sometimes too, right?
Exactly.
You think, and you end up with a long list of nothing that you've done. Hey, let's switch gears, because this is really interesting. But I want to talk about marketing.
Marketing.
And I know who you've been reading recently. And I want to know what you know.
I'm certainly not a marketing expert.
No, but what I like talking to other people about marketing is the lens that they see marketing through, right? So I guess we talked about Donald Miller and the building the story brand for the last probably 3 years ago. I probably read it 5 years ago, and I started giving it to my clients because I thought, here's someone who's come along and explained it. So I want you to read this book. And so many people have read the book and come back to me and said that was one of the best books they've ever read. So firstly, why did you pick up that book?
So I'm a big Audible listener.
Yeah.
So audiobooks. So I like to do them when I'm running or biking.
Nice.
It's the time that the mind's clear and I can actually just focus on it.
Yeah.
So it had good reviews. I'm always interested in building a brand. It's not something I obviously specialize in, but just interested in that kind of stuff. So it had good reviews. So I gave it a go, and yes, since referred it on to quite a few clients that I think would really benefit from it. And what I loved about it, it's simple things done well.
Yeah.
Just understanding the problems and needs of the customer, because the customer centre, and wrapping stories around that. So, if I said to you, what are the problems and needs of your customers? Yeah. What are they?
Well, a lot of them, they want to turn their marketing into money.
Yeah.
And most of them have no idea how to do that. And I've worked that out, that they've all gone and implemented tactics without understanding the strategy first, So I was saying, hey, you must design the strategy to pick the tactics to produce the results you want.
Yeah. And
so we take it right back to that okay, let's design a strategy first.
Yeah.
They all want their marketing to work though.
Yeah.
But they all want to turn into money.
Yeah.
but they're just not that clear on how to do that. So there's a real grey area there for them.
Yeah, and I think since reading that book, it's made me really conscious when looking at people's websites. So I'll open up, 4 different websites of the same business, the same business, and which one, and Donald Miller talks about this in his book, which one do I have to burn the least calories understanding what they do? So if I go onto your website and say, what is it that Scott does? Am I really clear straight away on what that is? And compared to his competitors.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a big thing, right? We probably need to look at that.
I do.
And I think that's, like going and having a different lens at stuff is really, really important. I love when he talks about, getting rid of the word we, he's pretty strong on that, right? Because you're weeing all over people. But you go and have a look at someone's website and they'll be doing it, right?
Yeah.
And it's really, really, it's all those little things, because I always find too, most the human beings, they think problem solution.
Yeah.
Everyone think you've got a problem, you got to find a solution. Most people market solution problem.
Yeah.
It's a massive disconnect.
Yeah.
So that is, most people lead with their product.
Yeah.
Not how it helps people.
Exactly. It's that emotional connection that we're really trying to find. And, there's so much clutter in the marketplace. There's, how do you even process it all? You can get anything now on the internet.
Yeah.
So how do I choose your product over someone else's?
Yeah. What do you reckon some of the things that people should be doing then based on what you know?
Just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Less is more. And I think that's really coming into play now.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because as I talked about before, people don't have the time to digest. Yeah. They don't want to, have a big spiel about why things are, how's it going to help me?
Yeah.
How's it make my life better? Yeah. And how's it going to happen quickly?
Yeah, yeah. And I reckon one of the best ways to do that is get known by the success of your clients. Because most people, and we get this all the time, hey, found you on Google, read your reviews. Can we come and have a chat? They actually just you got to be where they are, where they're looking. So make sure you show up. But then they probably will read a little bit about what you're doing, but they'll go straight to what you've done for customers.
Yeah, your clients are your best referral partners, because then someone that they've referred, they already come in as a warm lead.
Totally.
They're ready to do business with you.
Yeah, and you just get known by the success of your clients. I'm doing a strategy session with the guys that sell broker businesses deals, and I was like, dudes, when was your last testimonial? Oh, we stopped getting them because we've got too many of them. I was like, no. They stopped in 2020 getting Google reviews.
So
and
what's happened in the last 4 years?
Yeah. Well, people will come along and they'll be suspicious, right? Yeah. Oh, you haven't had a review since such and such. And they just thought they didn't need them. And they said, we've got plenty. We could get plenty more. Cool, go get plenty more then. Yeah. Get known by the success of your clients. So because the world, like I really believe, is people want to know they're going to be in safe hands. Yeah. And how will they know they're going to be in safe hands? Well, other people, other people that you've dealt with. They'll go and see their marketing, they'll go and look what they're doing, and they can see that they're in safe hands. Because I think the time factor and the money factor is one of the biggest things today. But people don't want to make a wrong mistake, right? But at the same time, they want to know, hey, they've done this for other people. And I think that's I reckon the more you can explain your value, the better your life will be. Like if you can get clear on your value equation, like what your explanation of value, the clearer you get that, the better you'll transact. So that's a real cool takeaway. What else did you learn from that book?
What else? Oh, I don't know where to start. I think it also it talked a lot about also internal stuff that's internally happening in your own business as well. And I really liked that, because I think it kind of gave me a lens to take a step back and, okay, it's good to talk about this with the other customers, but what are we doing for ourselves?
Yes.
And how are we bringing the team along the way on that journey as well?
Yeah, and because like your industry, to be fair, doesn't really market.
No.
Like they're not, they're not out there. Yeah, heavily marketing themselves.
And we build really good relationships with our referral partners. So that's your banks, your solicitors, and client referrals will be probably our number one source. And, perhaps that needs to change in the future, but we've kind of actually got those referral partners doing that good check of passing a good client on to you, because they're going to refer good clients as well.
And they're also going to want someone that can handle, or they'll know, hey, this person needs this type of help. I do think there's an opportunity for someone to take that advisory market to another level though, and I think someone people have tried to take it, but they probably haven't had the simple and the better processes to do that. They've probably made it a bit confusing.
Yeah.
And I think business owners themselves, they are wanting that strategic help from someone who understands the number side of things too, and I like the fact that you're adding accountability, quick calls, all that sort of stuff on it, because that's not normal.
Yeah.
That's not normal in an accountancy firm.
No, and it's something that we've really, we've seen the lack of progress we've made it in the past, and we're just trying to really address those. Well, what else could we do better, and what else? So it's always, we certainly didn't nail it straight away, but we're always reviewing and refining, and I think that's what's really important.
And I think because the reason you're doing that is because you're looking forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the key to it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're looking forward, and I've been with accountants in the past, and you get your yearly check. I mean, when I first started my business, I don't know, 20-something years ago, and you come in for that yearly check, and you're kind of like, oh, did I do any good?
Yeah, and you walk away with a bill.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, is this how it works? Crikey. But as you grow a business too, you just have to be across a lot more stuff, and you have to be looking forward. So I like that. I like that thinking. But it's, as you say, if you're not doing it, then it's not getting done. No one's taking care of it. So it's really cool that you're doing that.
Yeah, I think also because business owners, they wear so many hats, and then they've got a list of actions to do on top of what they already do, and they're already time poor.
Yeah.
So how do we do it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot because I know you like that.
Oh.
Right. So if I was looking at my business right now, let's say I've got 10 staff looking at my business, what are 5 things I need to do to be more recession ready?
Recession ready?
Because are we in a recession? Like, some businesses would say yes, some businesses would say no.
Yeah.
Depends what industry you're in, I guess.
Well, I think, coming back to what we talked about before, I'd really start with looking at that waste audit. How inefficient are we?
Great.
It's amazing, because it's all about, if you think about a boat on the sea and there's rocks underneath, and when the tide's high, we're all good, we're just floating along. But when that tide goes out, we're going to start hitting those rocks.
Yep.
So we really need to start minimising those rocks.
Yeah.
And I think that process really, recession proofs, I mean, that would be my starting point.
I said something the other day on a podcast, and I don't know where I got it from, but it was actually from watching a reality TV program with my wife, and it was I can't remember the program right now, but the captain of the boat said no one learns anything in calm seas. A sailor always, you learn more in rough seas, and I was like, wow, I'm going to use that in business, because I actually did a post about it on LinkedIn that you learn more when the sea's rough, and it's a little bit rough right now. And we're all going to learn from this, because when we're sitting in a calm sea, like you said before, when it's all good, it doesn't really matter, so yeah.
Another thing is around building really good relationships with your trusted advisors.
Yeah.
So that's your bankers, your solicitors, your accountants. So don't go to them once we're in the shit, to put it nicely.
Yeah.
It's too late then.
Yeah.
Start having those conversations, because there might be something we can do.
And what's the way to open the door there? Because for some businesses, they just maybe don't have those relationships yet. What's the best way, to start saying, hey, look, I want some help, or what's this?
I think you've just got to get the courage. I think the other thing is that I've learned over time is people are so generous and willing with their information. We're too scared to ask half the time. And, I've learned that as we became a member of Mindshop, some of the people in this group, they're the leading, strategists in Australia working with $100 million companies. I would never sit or talk by these people. And I've learned over the 9 years, they're just people. You can sit by them and ask them anything. And they're so generous with their information.
That's the coolest thing ever, eh?
And it's quite an honour for them for you to say to them, hey, Scott, I'm really struggling with my digital marketing. Can you just give me a couple of tips? And so, people put you in that spotlight. So I think it's hard, but put yourself there and ask, because the worst someone's going to say is no.
Totally. And most people, as you say, they're honoured that someone actually asked them because no one asks them.
No, because everyone's too scared to
Everyone's too
ask.
scared to ask them. So you go and ask them, and that's a great way to build up a relationship. I'd say that the key there is to, if they give you something to do or they teach you something, go and implement it and then go back and say thank you. And I've done that in the past, and that not many people do say thank you, and I think that's a key thing to add. So,
Absolutely.
Nice. Okay, we've got two.
Okay, two. Oh, gosh. Putting me on the spot, all right. Another one is really clear on where you're going.
Yeah.
Clarity. Yeah. And bringing everyone else into that.
And would that be like doing that exercise that you talked about, the one-page plan exercise, and that whole mind shop is you just get clarity?
Yeah, clarity, vision, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
And I would say, because I got help on that, you need external person to help you with this sort of stuff.
It's hard to facilitate yourself.
You can't facilitate yourself.
You're not holding yourself accountable.
No, and if you're the business owner and you think, I can do it and I'll get my team, and it just doesn't work. I think I did try it when I had my first business and it didn't work. Me and my business partner tried to do some stuff there, but it didn't work. We actually end up getting someone else to help us, and because they'll ask you better questions, and they'll probably ask you more direct questions too, and hold you accountable to whatever you're talking about, right?
Another big one, culture. Because your team will be there for you in the rough times if you've looked after them.
Yeah.
So
and what are some of the ways you see good businesses looking after their people?
I think, I really try and talk to my clients around, it's not always about, what do they call it, the three F's of, so it's not about the fruit basket, the fitness subscriptions, and the Fridays off. Okay, it's beyond that. People want to feel part of a group. They want their boss or leaders to acknowledge them. I mean, the cheapest thing a business can do is walk in and say hello to their team members. But the amount that will just walk past the staff member and not even acknowledge them. I mean, people want to feel like they're a part of something, and why they turn up to work every day, because people care about them.
Yeah, so true. I'm doing a bit of a study at the moment for some videos that I'm creating and working with external team on it. And we're researching, and one of my team, Olivia, shared it with me because they were talking about the Warriors and how the Warriors' culture's become really, they've really honed in on their culture. And so there used to be, going into the Warriors at the training ground, there was two ways in. So what they did, the new coach, he's blocked off the one way, and so everyone has to come past his office, in or out, and they all have to say hello and goodbye to him. And he said the reason for this, I need to be eyeballing people and seeing how they're feeling, and if a player's had a bad day or a bad game, I want to eyeball him rather than him sneaking out the other way and not seeing me. And I thought, wow, there's leadership in the way that you're looking after your players in good times, bad times, and you're eyeballing them. Because when you're eyeballing people and you're seeing them, there's nowhere for them to hide, and you can help your people, right?
And before that becomes rot in the organisation, you're capturing it.
Yeah, and it's such a small thing, but also everyone knows why you've done it. Everyone knows why you've done it. So you don't need to hide the fact that you're not feeling great, because you had a bad game, and it'll be worse in those environments because the torch is on them, right? Like everyone's a critic.
Absolutely.
Culture, I love it. And I love the fact that, you discussed the fitness, the fruit basket, and the Fridays off. Like
it's token now.
It's weak, really, yeah.
And these organisations spend so much money doing it, but why are they doing it? What is the result that you want to get out of it?
Yeah. And I think it's, one of the things I learned from one of the best cricket captains in the world, and I asked him a question, and he's the champion. Steve Fleming's his name. He's the champion coach for one of the Indian IPL teams, and he's won it for so many years in a row. And I said, mate, what's the culture like? What are you doing? And he says, well, I got rid of team meetings. I said, you don't have team meetings? He said, no, got rid of them. He said, because people were just hiding them. He says, no, I have one-on-one coffee meetings with every team member. And I talk about their family. I talk about how they are, and then I talk about some things that they could be working on. And I was like, wow. So we still have team meetings, but I have coffee with every team member.
I love that.
Talking to them about, and a lot of stuff. A lot of times we don't even talk about the business. We're talking about them. And I thought that was so good. That was a great way to just building that culture, This is good. You got 4. Need one more from you.
Yeah. Okay. Right. My 4th would probably be, and it was a quote from Gilbert Anoka, who's the mental skills coach for the All Blacks. And it's probably something that's really stuck with me. And if anyone gets a chance to listen to him speak, go for it. Because he's good.
So good.
It's don't get stuck, keep moving.
Nice.
So it doesn't matter if you make the wrong decision or make the wrong move. You've got to do something. And I think in times, tough times or recession, and look, we're farmers, so we're in the middle of a drought, severe drought, hardly rain since January. The worst thing you can do is nothing. You might make the wrong decision, but get moving.
Keep moving. Yeah. So important. Like I always tell my team, and look, hey, we can have a pity party. We're allowed to have a pity party for 5 minutes. But then we just move on and we keep moving forward. Like we keep the focus on the focus, because if we wallow and sit there, we're not going to move. We're not going to go forward.
And sometimes you've got to move back to move forward. And I think that's people find that really hard to get that shift in mindset. But it's just keep moving. I love listening to Gilbert and Anoka. I've been fortunate enough just through my relationship with the guys from Harcourts and stuff to hear him speak, and he made a really interesting comment about high performance and how how a stressful environment, when the stress comes on people, how they react, and how to actually, you don't take things too far out, don't look behind, but looking what's in front of you, and how to look around and keep your head up, and what can you be doing. And I thought it was really, he made some really interesting points. He was just off the Chelsea football too, and I think he's realised there that the All Black culture was so different. The All Black culture would come in, there was no egos. And then you go to a place where there's just huge egos, and it's a different way. And I think he's been like a really, for me personally, just understanding the psychology of humans. It's been great to watch him and learn from him. And he also said, I think another key takeaway from his talk was, this was at a farmer's resilient talk he was doing, and a guy there had just run 100 kilometres in red band gumboots. And he got this guy up there, and he said, and don't let that be the greatest thing you've ever done. And it really stuck with me to always aspire to keep doing more.
Nice.
I loved that, because 100 k's in red band gumboots. No.
That's awesome. And hey, look, celebrate that victory. But what else?
And that's what he did. He said, celebrate it, but don't let this be the greatest thing you've ever done.
Keep that moving forward. I know he's got a book coming out soon. He's just signed a person off to help him with that book, so that'd be pretty awesome. Hey, so what I got down, because you did give me 5 things, which was really cool. That waste audit. I think every business owner could do that. Go and look, get someone to help you, or you could even just start looking at what you're wasting inside your business right now, and if you want to do it really well, talk to Kim. She can really help you. I really believe relationships. I really believe in the depth of connection versus the width of connection, and I see that playing out on LinkedIn. Too many people go on LinkedIn and friend request, whatever, never talk to people ever again, right? Actually create some depth of connection, because I think when times are tough, you want to have some core people around you that you can have a chat to and get advisory from, and also asking. I think that's key. I caught up with a guy yesterday, and he was a mentor of mine back when I had my first business, and I caught up with him, and we now do business with his companies years later, but I remember going and asking him, hey, can you help me? And he said, yep. And then he said, it's going to cost you this. And I was like, perfect. But that's, you do have to ask, because you'll just be surprised when people say yes. Clarity, I love that, the vision and the why. Culture for me is like, you just need to have it in your business. And Gilbert and I don't get stuck, keep moving forward. Hey, this has been awesome, and it's actually gone really, really fast. Before we leave, though, how do people get hold of you? Oh, is there anything else? Is there anything else you want to impart? Is there any books that apart from the 2 that you've mentioned, The Coaching Habit and Donald Miller, is there anything else you recommend business owners read right now?
Another really good one is called Limitless, and it's by Jim Quick. And so he is probably the leading brain coach in the world at the moment. So coming from a brain injury himself as a
Yeah.
child and really overcoming those things, and just, again, really simple stuff done really well. So
What was his name?
Jim Quick,
Jim Quick.
Kwik.
Cool.
Yeah, he talks a lot around motivation and mindset, which I think's really, really important, because certainly, I mean, I struggle with it.
Yeah.
Probably struggle with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And, he talks around, the motivation equation. So that's purpose, which we've talked a lot around. Why are we doing this? What do we want to achieve? By energy, food, diet, exercise, meditation, those kind of things, and time small, simple steps.
Nice.
So breaking it down, because we look at things and it's such a mountain to climb that we can't do it.
Yeah.
So how do we actually start climbing that mountain? One step at a time.
So good.
Highly recommend his work as well.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that. I'm gonna get that book, because I love mindset. It's something that I really, really love. I think it's something, I started learning from Jim Rohn, and he was a simple boy from Idaho, and he said, don't wish you were easier, just wish you were better.
Yeah.
And I think, anything like that you can learn. You can learn one or two things, because your brain, it's there to keep you safe, you know, and when you're trying to do things and push the limits, sometimes, you get pulled back, and you have to understand why. And I think that's really cool. And I'm sure that book will explain a bit of that, which is awesome. Cool. Hey, so how do people get hold of you?
So I work for WK Advisors and Accountants, obviously, so just via the website, and all my details are on there. Or feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn. We'll
Not
put...
that I'm very active.
No, but that could change. We'll put all the details in the show notes too. So I really appreciate you coming along. We've had a great chat. Seriously, you've put me on the spot a couple of times, which I really like. I'm going to go and look at our website and see what we're doing there. I really like the fact that you're obviously someone who's really wants their clients to win too, right? You've got that sense about you that you ask the hard questions, which I think, business owners need that. They need that. You don't want someone who's your advisor that just is ticking the box anymore. I think, those days, it's too competitive now. And if you really want to grow a successful business, you've got to have someone that's not there to be your friend. Because if you've got an advisor that's there to be your friend, that's probably the wrong place, right? So, wow. Okay. Thank you, guys and girls. Great podcast. I believe a lot of business owners need to hear this one. So do me a favor, just share it, okay? Share the podcast with your business friends and colleagues, because the more people we share, the more people we can help. So just do me a favor, go and share this podcast and listen to what Kim's saying. Go and visit her website. We'll put all the details there, and get in contact. Go through the Mind Shop. I was blown away by it when we did it for Inspire Foundation. So go and share it and go and do it. So appreciate your time. As always, have fun, take action, and we'll talk to you really, really soon.